it attracts quite a lot of high-profile media attention across newspapers, across television. There were celebrity campaigners backing the Gurkha cause, but I think they lost, unfortunately, in the end. And then, more tragically, in 2015 was the earthquakes, which was an international news story. It got a lot of headlines here in England, and what it does is it helps promote and prompt aid and help and raise awareness about the problems of rebuilding after such a difficult event, a massive tragedy. Turning towards sort of the more local side of it, what I do is obviously the main thing I do is work for Kentish Express here in Ashford in Kent, and that normally means I report on anything that happens. So that's council stories, that's health, politics, crime. These are the stories that we have to keep up to date with. And this is a front page from not last week, the week before, but it was a very sad story that I wrote about a homeless gentleman who was at the leisure centre. He was sleeping on the streets, and sadly he died. And everyone was very upset about it. I think it highlights some of the issues that are going on in Britain at the moment, where we have a lot of problems with homelessness and issues like that. But it doesn't really show here some of the stories down the side or at the top. But this story at the top is people complaining about speed bumps at a supermarket. It's not the world's greatest story, but lots of people were affected by it, going to go and do their shopping. They drive their car, and their car gets damaged by going over the bump into the car park. So we did a story about that, and this week actually Tesco have removed the speed bump. So within 2 weeks, a news story that it shows basically the power that local papers and newspapers still have to set the agenda and to change the agenda, or to put issues on the agenda that we want to talk about as a society, or as a country, or even in our communities. I'll say a bit about the KM group that I'm part of as well. Obviously we've got several newspapers across Kent. Here in Ashford, the Kentish Express has been running for about 150 years. The oldest paper that we've got in the group is actually nearly 300 years old, and that's the Kentish Gazette in Canterbury. We have newspapers in Maidstone, Dover, Deal, in Margate. We have newspapers in Tunbridge, in Medway, Gravesend and Dartford. So we cover the whole county. And we have a website that's called Kent Online, and in an average month we get about 2 million unique users on our website. So that's using it via laptops, via mobile phones, and also on tablet as well. So it's a big audience for local. There's a big appetite for local newspaper, local news. People often are saying these days in Britain about newspaper circulation. The number of people buying newspapers is going down, and that's true. It is going down. But the number of people reading news, when you take websites into account, is increasing. So interest in news and finding out what's going on is continuing to grow. And I think that's what's quite exciting as a journalist, is that there is a big audience out there who want to know what's going on and want to be able to connect to the world and understand what's happening. And at the same time, advertisers are the same. If they see that people want to find out what's happening, advertisers are keen to reach out and advertise to those readers. So I think that in the future, online websites are going to be dominating the landscape of media in Britain and around the world as well, probably. But at the KM Group, we also have a radio station which is KM-FM, and that has about 160,000 listeners. And the main times that people sort of tune in and listen is when they're in their car on their way to work, or when they're in their car on their way back from work, to find out where the traffic is. So if there's been a crash, they like to know how they can avoid getting stuck in traffic. So that's the main thing, but we also play lots of music and have live news reporting throughout the day. And what it means is that myself as a reporter and my colleagues, we often, when we go out to do an interview, we have to take our notebooks, write our shorthand. We also have to have a microphone and interview people for the radio, and increasingly as well we have to use our mobile phones to record video footage. And so we're doing all the different mediums, and so we can use video, radio, and the words for the newspaper as well. I'll say a little bit about the Facebook and Twitter, because these two things, it's curious, the growth of social media, because in some respects it's kind of killing our industry, and in other respects it's giving growth to our industry. It's a double-edged sword, and it is a way of interacting with a lot of people. And so we use Facebook, we have our own Facebook page, and Twitter as well. And it's a good place where we use to find news stories, but also to tell news stories. And so that's how it's an interaction with people. I was going to use that to read, but I just ignored it. But yes, and I think that it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next few years, because I think what we're seeing at the moment in Britain is a bit of a backlash from advertisers against Facebook and against YouTube and Google, because they're afraid, or the national media is afraid, that that adverts are appearing alongside extremist material. And I'm not sure if you've seen, but in the newspapers like the Daily Mail and also the Times, there's been quite a prolonged reporting of this, basically, that advertisers are not happy with Facebook, with Google. And it could be interesting what effect that has. Does that drive advertisers back towards advertising specifically with newspapers, or whether advertisers stop advertising online? It's difficult to say, but it's one for the future. It's one to keep an eye on, I think. So these are some of the sort of stories that here in Ashford in Kent that we've reported, and I've reported on from the community, the Nepalese community here. So obviously a few weeks ago, I think a week ago in fact, we had the New Year, and there was a big celebration at Norton Natural School, and we got sent lots of pictures and a write-up from the community, and I put a piece in the newspaper that went in about that. But going a bit further back, just before Christmas, the community basically did collections for the food bank, and I'm not sure if you're aware of the food bank here in Ashford, but it helps those who are basically hard up for money, maybe struggling to put food on the table for their families. And what I was told at the time about that was that it's very important to sort of build the bridges between communities and trying to break the divide if there is one. And I don't sense there is from the Nepalese community, but there is often, I don't want to use the word racism, but sometimes there is racism directed towards the Nepalese community. But doing things like that, raising money for local charities, also donating to local charities, helps to break down prejudice and also make us a more inclusive society as well. Obviously, a big thing that the Nepalese community here in Ashford take part in is Remembrance Sunday, with such a strong connection to the Gurkhas serving in the British Armed Forces. In fact, just last year, the chairman of the British Legion branch here in Ashford is Poppy Rai, and he's from the Nepalese community and helped to organise the Remembrance Sunday parade from the church to the Memorial Gardens, and so they're playing an active role on a national day of significance across the country, and that's true here in Ashford as well. And going back a bit further, we did, when the earthquake struck 2 years ago in Nepal, we did a lot of reporting about what that the Nepalese community here in Ashford are doing to try and help relatives back home and raise awareness of that. And that's where almost like an international news story takes on a local angle as well. It has an international, national and local, so it can sort of transcend those. And we reported on lots of different events, particularly around Folkestone as well, in the town of Folkestone. There was a lot of events to raise and to send aid back to Nepal, and what it did as well is by using the local media, it helped the Nepalese community reach out beyond the Nepalese community to others to help get more aid and more support and more charity donations from people here in Kent as well, who could see what was going on their television screen, but might not have known how to help, basically. And I think it's how different communities around the world are now more connected than ever before, and sort of we were there helping do our parts to spread the message. And just the final point there is, I think that local news reporting that we do, I think does help to do that. I think it does help to raise awareness of the fact that there is a Nepalese community here in our town. There are communities around Kent and also around the country. And it means that it doesn't go sort of silent or forgotten, as it shouldn't be. A culture and a community should not be forgotten, but should be welcomed and included into our society. And local media, I think, does a very, very important job to sort of bring people together and say, well, we can share culture and also we can discuss and raise issues. So this might be the final one, actually, I'm not sure. But the sort of things that I'm interested in as a reporter from sort of the Nepalese community is everything. Anything that's happening in the community, I think there's lots of outstanding people in the world achieving all sorts of things, and it's good to know about that. It's good to celebrate that. But a good news story is something that makes you laugh. It's something that makes you cry. It's something that thinks, actually, I'm glad I know that. I'm glad to be informed of that. There's all sorts of different. There's no rules, in fact, of what is a good news story. So if something has happened in the Nepalese community, we're always delighted to hear about it, because it could make an interesting news report. At the same time, what we can do as well is highlight some of the problems that maybe the Nepalese community are experiencing in terms of access to public services or healthcare or schools, or the everyday things that everyone else in society also have difficulties with, but it raises awareness of that, and it can get things to change through perhaps putting pressure on local politicians to put policies in place to help. But also it can raise awareness. There was a story a few weeks ago that I did about some youths who were crying at some racism. But the point is, when we highlight racism or anger in the community from the British population towards the Nepalese, what it tends to actually do is it tends to reinforce the fact that we are not like that we disagree with the racism, and the majority then show their support for the Nepalese community and do what they can to help. But we don't ignore it, basically. We don't ignore what are the problems in our society. If we have them, we confront them head on by reporting on it and giving voice to people's experience. And then just finally, is some of the things that we also like to hear about is the community events that are happening. Obviously big celebrations like the New Year, charity work that the community does, because it really, it basically, as a newspaper of record, it documents everything that's happening in society, and obviously the community here in Ashford, the Nepalese community here in Ashford, are doing their bit as well, and it's very important that we recognise that and that we have it in our newspapers and see it in our media. I think as well that is, I'm not sure, yeah, that was the last slide, so maybe if anyone wants to ask questions or anything.